Guys. Hello, hello. All right, so this is going to be a today's love tarot story. So we shall see where this one is going to take us. Also, just FYI, guys, this week I will be going live at some point and doing some storytellings for subscribers. This is my birthday week, and that's how I wanted to celebrate. So I'm not sure exactly what day it will be, but it'll be somewhere pretty soon. So keep your notification bells turned on. Also, I'll be turning on memberships, but that's a whole nother, that'll all be kind of wrapped into one announcement. So anyway, I just want to give you guys a heads up for it right now. Okay, we start with the Knight of Pentacles. Now, this story, being that it's about love, and being that we have the galaxy, the backdrop behind me with all the stars, I want to know, what do the stars have to say about love? And this says, we have a character that is possibly moving very slowly, but moving forward nonetheless, piece by piece. There's more that needs to be done, I think, before a character winds up in that place of love. In fact, right here, we see a person walking with that Eight of Cups. They're actually walking their own path right now. They're walking away. Hi, Stella. How are you? Um, and all around them, we see these paired up butterflies, paired up dragonflies, paired up swans, paired up birds. It's like, wow, everybody's got somebody but me. Oh gosh, I'm hearing the song by Rod Stewart, Some Guys Have All the Luck. Or am I wrong? Is that Climby? Climby Fisher who sings that? Somebody fact check me. Some guys have all the luck. Some guys get all the pain. Some guys do nothing but complain. I know it's all about, like, he's walking along and he sees all these like people that are in relationships, and but why is it not him? That song is in my head. I love that song. I gotta listen to that and figure out who the artist is. But this feels like the thing that a character has to do is to lay down a burden, and the burden might be this concept they have that could be erroneous, that they are somehow always alone. See, look at that. Those people have somebody, those people are in love, they're in a couple, everybody's got somebody, and here I am by myself. And they're moving through this thought process, possibly fairly slowly. Bamboo, thank you. Hey, Diana. They're moving through this thought process slowly. Okay, but they have to lay down the burden of, I'm always alone, I'm always alone, I'm always alone. I walk by and everybody else has somebody, but not me. That right there is a real negative perspective. And you know what's so funny? This is so appropriate because if you walk by and you see all these couples in love, that's a beautiful thing. So it's like seeing a bunch of blooming flowers. But look at how every happy couple she meets like weighs her down more and more with, like, God, this is so heavy for me to see all this. But really what it is she's like almost shaming herself, saying, but I can't seem to find it. I can't seem to get it right. She needs to quit guilting herself, shaming herself, upsetting herself. I only say she because we have exclusively feminines on those three cards. Okay, tell me a little bit more. I totally agree with that message. Just because somebody's single, there's nothing wrong with them. Just because somebody is selective enough not to just randomly shack up with anyone, that just means that they're probably looking for something real. Her feeling like somehow she's failing and everybody else is, successful, and there must be something wrong with her, is, or him, it doesn't matter what gender we're talking about, is a big mistake, and they're weighing themselves down, and that's actually going to bog down their ability to actually connect. We have a Four of Swords. Yeah, they just need a little bit of, they gotta take the pressure off themselves. This poor character has totally shamed themselves, and this says, don't do that to you, darling. This, especially, like, we talk about the moon as being like remote, and even like the man on the moon is considered to be so lonely, right? And instead, the moon is actually connecting with the subconscious. And this says that our character has some kind of hidden, like, I don't think they realize how heavily they have judged themselves for something that they shouldn't be shaming themselves for. And if they can just let themselves heal from that, sometimes it's good to spend a little bit of time alone, because that's where we get to learn about us. and about what we're upset over. And I think our character is going to be able to relax that energy a little bit. And we have this Page of Cups. And the Page of Cups is now we have new love coming in. As soon as our character is healed, this process can take as long or as short as our character wants it to. But the biggest thing I see here is let go of shame concerning why am I still out there on my own and everybody else is all booed up. That is the number one thing to do. As soon as they lay down that shame, the healing starts, and that's when they meet their person. It's interesting how that could have been such a blockage. So now that we have this person showing up fairly swiftly, I would argue. Hey, Anonymous Angel. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so honored. You of course, honey. I'll let me pause for just a second and say, anybody that doesn't know this, I do have an Instagram for Kate's Regretless Life. The only reason it's set to where if you have to request to follow me is because I was trying to cut down on scammers because they're just everywhere. And I thought that's one distinguishing feature. But please don't think that I'm like, oh, I'm all snooty. No, I love it. You guys I'm so heartwarmed that you would want to follow me on Instagram. I don't do much with Instagram. Honestly, I kind of forget I have it. But please know I'm not trying to like keep people out except the scammers because there were so many problems with them. So that's the only reason it's like that. Sorry to interrupt, guys, but I just wanted you all to know the only reason it's like that. And I have to remember to check Instagram and approve real people that are following. So let's get back to this Page of Cups. And maybe that fits into this story. You know, I always assume everything fits together. Maybe our character hadn't found anybody real. Maybe they've had a screening process. Maybe they were trying to keep scammers out of their life. Whatever this was, this is something real because we have a teacup, and that's the truth. We're speaking the tea. We have got a little happy little goldfish coming in to have a real conversation with her. This is a new love offer. This could also be an apology from somebody from the past, but let's try to figure out who is the fish. We know that this is her. Oh, wow. It is somebody from the past, somebody who, so, oh my God. Okay. I didn't think about it this way, but this is the person that made her feel like, see, I must fail at relationships. I mean, here I am alone. Again, I don't know why someone didn't want me. Now I'm hearing the Bee Gees. Somehow I always end up alone. I love that song too. I'm loving the soundtrack to this storyline. They are coming in for an apology. This card can be an apology, but I read it just as new love simply because this story is about love and someone who hasn't had it. And they've released some of the burdens and the self guilt and shame and stigma associated with being, still unattached. And they've healed. And it's funny how as soon as somebody doesn't need the apology, they don't need somebody to come in and say, I'm sorry I treated you badly. You do know it wasn't you, or, whatever it is that they want to say sorry for. As soon as she doesn't need to hear it, that's when it comes in. But the thing is, I say she doesn't need to hear it. Maybe this is the first time she could have ever believed it. Sometimes when a character, breaks up or leaves or something like that, it wouldn't matter if they explained why they were breaking up and that it really was their issue and not hers. She still, in this frame of mind, back when she was all guilty and shamey, she would have possibly not been able to hear what they said. It would still have been like, no, I'm just not wanted. When you heal, then you can actually realize, oh, not everything is about me. I'm not the person that like somehow caused them to walk away because they didn't like me or I was somehow deficient in any way. I know that I'm not. Why would I think that there's something wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with me. Now, when somebody comes in to apologize, she can actually hear that. She can actually understand what they're trying to say because she's very calm, very peaceful, very at ease listening to this. And I think she's just not going to be able to be receptive to what this person has to say. Tell me about this Justice. This could be a Libra who is coming in to give this apology, to explain some things. We have got a Page of Swords. Okay, so first off, they've been still spying on her. And there's something about her that, ironically, here she is. She's been judging herself, saying, I must suck. Nobody wants me. I must be the damaged goods. And all this time, they've been spying on her and being inspired by her. You notice this person had to learn some things, they had to graduate. They have held on to this, I always call it the dandelion wish puffer, but this has been their wish. Their wish has been to be more like her. And she's over here, like beating herself up emotionally, saying, I must just be no good. But she was like a kind of like a guiding light for them, even though she didn't know it. So that's message number one from them. They're coming in to apologize for having done wrong. And one of the first wrongs they did is, I didn't tell you that I've kept tabs on you and that you've been kind of a touchstone for me. Seven of Swords. They're also sorry that they were in I almost feel like this person went into survival mode somehow. By the way, this could be a same-sex couple. Does not have to be. We've had a masculine and we've had a feminine here. We've also had a fish. And now we have a serpent. But this Seven of Swords is not as heinous a Seven of Swords as most. And I say that because Seven of Swords gets a really bad rap for always being lying, cheating, deviant. But this is a serpent who is trying to pretend that they're not a serpent. She's desperate to hold on to her clutch of eggs. This is the lies somebody tells while trying to act like, no, I'm everything's fine, everything's good. Nothing's good when you're feeling that desperate. So yes, the lies on this card are they're for a different reason, and that gives a whole different vibe. The lies that a character tells to try to pretend like everything is still rosy when it's not. So that's the next thing they're apologizing for. Is I don't think they ever let her really know what their real situation was or why they felt so desperate. And we have a Six of Wands sideways combined with the World. I'm going to say if this character walked away from her at some point in time, it could have been because their whole life was imploding. They didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't know if they were still going to have a job. They didn't, it kind of takes a strong person to be able to say like, oh yeah, no, I think I'm probably getting fired. Nope, I doubt I can even continue to pay my rent. I might have to move back in with, my family or go find somebody else to live with. It's hard to say that because it's a perceived failure. And it's not, it's just life sometimes rolls us. But if this is what they were going through, they're sorry that they didn't admit the mess that they were in. And what's ironic about all of this is here she's been feeling crummy. She's been feeling unwanted. She's been feeling like the dented tin can that nobody wants to buy. And all the time that she's been walking around feeling that way, the whole reason she feels that way is because they were feeling so desperate, so unsuccessful in themselves that it caused them to walk away. So their own fears of inadequacy made them split. Then she was left thinking she's inadequate. And I think that's a really important message because this is another kind of a different example of how, I don't want to say hurt people because that's not exactly it. It's when, insecurities and fears and self-judgment become the biggest thing in a character's mindset, they're unable to think about how other people might be hurt by their own actions because they're too worried about their own insecurities and their ups and downs in life and how they feel, not good enough. And so it's a really great story actually because it highlights that they're realizing they did her wrong by not by walking away and not telling her why they walked away. And if that's what their apology is about, how is she going to respond? Because part of me thinks she may have like a jaw drop moment or even start belly laughing and say, I cannot believe all this time I've been feeling crummy. I get maybe this is good that she's felt so crummy though, only because she'll truly be able to understand how like demoralizing that can be. And she'll maybe be able to understand why they behave that way. Forgiving people for their own emotional state because we can identify and say, even though you're the one who put me in that emotional state, I know what that feels like, and I can understand why you didn't want to share that with me. I can understand why you were trying to hold it together when you didn't think you could. I can understand that. We have a King of Swords here. It's time for truth for sure. And there's been a winding story of characters that needed to learn how to be able to be truthful. Both of them, perhaps. Or both of them needed to learn that life is not always going to be this perfectly organized straight line. Life is going to suddenly, maybe it's going to be perfect and organized, and then all of a sudden it starts to be this weaving, crazy pattern. It's unpredictable. We don't know what to do. But the one thing that maybe should be the constant, once if characters are capable of hanging on to one constant, it's that they still have worth, they still have value. King of Swords upright knows better, but it's hard not to have one's own self-worth not shaken when you're going through something really scary. But I think this is the message on this is, we're plucking stars out of the sky. It's like and sewing them onto her garment. So it's more like when we have to keep going after our dreams. We have to, no matter how crazy and bumpy life gets sometimes, knowing that, this is a storm, these are rough seas that I'm on right now, but the storm will pass. And ultimately, this is just one chapter of my life that's really difficult right now, but it doesn't, all it's going to do is make me stronger. I'm not a failure. I don't lack worth and value. There's nothing wrong with me. Everybody's life can go through a storm at any point in time. I think this was the solid energy that our characters needed to get to. Now, I think they're both there. Yes, they did it like separately, but they finally both are there. And maybe this is a great time. I mean, if the message from the stars is that, I would say this is what the message is, but it makes a lot more sense when we put it in context, right? The big message is for all characters involved. Don't ever think that when life gets hard, you somehow failed at life, you somehow aren't good enough, you somehow can't have a successful relationship. No, it's just life isn't a continuous straight line of, like, and every day it gets better, and every year I'm alive, I make more money, and every, couple decades of my life, I upgrade to a better house until I live in a mansion. There's like kind of this mystere that it's like, well, of course, I'll never roll back down the hill and feel like I have to start my life at ground zero again. When in fact, the most successful people in life are the ones who've done that again and again and again. People who started businesses, failed, started another business. That one didn't take off either. And then finally, after all of those experiences of giving it their all, still not having it work out, they gain all this experience. And then sometimes that's when they become the most successful and they get that one business that takes off and their life really, blossoms and explodes. But they had a ton of failures first. They had a ton of rejections first. So I think that's the overall message on this. But it's ironic that this character was feeling poorly, and then it's like she basically caught it like a cold. Then she started to feel poorly because they left her life, and then she felt bad about her own self. Yeah, characters need to not do that to each other or to themselves, but really this message says it starts with the self. Okay, let me just get one wrap up card for what happens with these two. The Empress, the Four of Pentacles. If they can hold on to this lesson, both of them will have blossomed and grown so much. Now, does this mean that they get back together? This card would say that it's tentative. They may have to really get comfortable with each other. It may take time. And honestly, the dynamics may have changed. Maybe these two can be friends. Maybe they can like literally be lifelong friends. But they may always have a little tiny bit of like, yeah, but we're not going to do the romance thing again. But we learned so much and I care so much about you. You helped me grow more than anybody. That could be the way this goes. This leaves it questionable. This says if they could be this successful together where they both feel like, wow, this is a very mature relationship now. We helped each other to grow. We're, facing all of what happened and there's a lot of forgiveness and we're actually feeling incredible. then this could be, we'll always hold on to each other. We're never going to let each other go. We're going to protect this relationship. We're not going to ever push each other on the other side of the fence and make each other feel like they're not wanted. I could read it that way also. What I would say is, in this story, the for, I'm sorry to sound biased, but it appears that the feminine is the one who will decide. Whomever it is who's coming back in with the apology, kind of because they started it, I guess. Even though I should say they started the growth phase, right? Because she benefited also. But I think she's the one who decides whether or not she welcomes him back in. Maybe she's already grown enough with this person, and this is a good time to keep them at arm's length, even though the apology is accepted, the full comprehension is there, and she may feel a lot of gratitude to this person at the end of it. I don't know. This leaves me saying either could happen. Either could happen. Either they're going to be a happily ever after, or this was a transformative experience, and in retrospect, it was so incredibly valuable. But I was saying it looks like as soon as she doesn't need somebody to come back in, poof, they show up. And that, to me, I read it first like they were coming in with a love offer. So I don't know. I'm a little bit more inclined to say the big message is anything can happen once characters have gotten to that place of growth. Hey, buongiorno, Christy. How are you, sweetheart? Thank you so much for being here. V-Dub the Fox. Oh, you sweetheart. I'm sorry you went through that. I'm so happy, though, to hear that, you're moving beyond it and blossoming. Send you lots of love, lots of support. I've been there. I've been there. And then it does get a lot better, doesn't it? EM, hey, great to see you, sweetheart. John Schultz, awesome to see you. You like this one, this backdrop? Very cool. And thank you, John, for being here with me. Hey, Rhonda. And thanks again, Anonymous Angel. Oh, Bamboo, don't ever feel that way. You are in good company, my friend. I think we all feel like a dented tin can. I always think that we maybe all are anyway, like we're all unique. We all have some of our scars, but that also makes us more interesting. But you're in good company, sweetheart. Neandri Irene, so good to see you. My baby is fast asleep right now. I even was able to do an Aries video, after our second very lengthy walk, and then we spent some time with one of our neighbors. And yeah, it was just I intended to get these videos out much earlier this evening, but sometimes you need to connect with other people in your community too. So I agree, John. I love the fact that we are all very unique individuals. I am, one of the things that I was so stunned by is I I'd been friends with somebody. I remember this from childhood, and I'd been friends with my best friend from like second, third grade. And so you don't really know because you're little friends at school and you play together and all that, but you don't realize that their family can be so different from yours. And I just remember going over there, and it was like after school. We were like by that time like maybe in sixth or seventh grade, and going over to their house after school. And it was the weirdest thing. Their idea of a snack after school was like cook a full-blown hamburger. And I was like, it's like an after school snack was like, a piece of fruit or something. And I was like, seriously, we're eating hamburgers? That's like dinner though. And I I was just so blown away by how unique and how different other people's lives were. And I had never contemplated. I always remembered that blew my mind, because I'm like, I don't know if my mom's going to let me eat a hamburger for a snack and call it a snack. But yeah, it's interesting how what we all consider just run of the mill normal can be so foreign to somebody else. But that's what's so enjoyable about getting to know just how other people see the world, I suppose, and to step into their worlds a little bit. Andrea Pap, great to see you, sweetheart. All right, you guys, take care. Lots of love. I'm going to do one for Cancerian, and then I'm going to call it a night tonight. I'll see you guys in just a minute for the Cancerian video. Bye, guys.